A response to the branding of performance poetry as not your grandma's poetry. My grandma's poetry lived through 8 decades, buried one son, and painfully came to accept that her other son was broken to the point of being cruel to children. And she loved him anyways. My grandma's poetry is still teaching me about forgiveness. My grandma's poetry married a violent alcoholic, then hid the marriage because back then and there, only single women worked outside the home, and they needed the money. My grandma's poetry knows the combined bite of poverty and misogyny. My grandma's poetry calls her 19-year-old queer granddaughter to say, I love you, the whole you, and I'm just so happy that you know yourself. My grandma's poetry wants to know what you hate about the elderly. My grandma's poetry talks to ghosts, honors compost, attends births in the dark. My grandma's poetry spins, weaves, and mends, exists in the margins, will probably be appropriated at some point, is quietly appalled by communities of storytellers who would dismiss old women as conservative or boring, and perceives some links between male-dominated slam scenes and rape culture. Yes, my grandma's poetry is definitely talking about gender. Again. My grandma's poetry is reclaiming crone, hag, witch, and old wives' tales, is medicine, lineage, and anchor. My grandma's poetry reminds us of our mortality, lives in the deepest of listening, finds poems in people who do not identify as poets, sits next to me while I write, nods approvingly at my laugh lines and tells me, darling, when you are a grandma, you will be one hell of a poet. Yeah!